The House approves a large amount of spending in order to refund the Iron Dome, and the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez votes present and cries about it. This really is the dumbest timeline, folks, but we'll talk a bit about what this is, what this means, and where it goes. Big Pharma has apparently donated a large amount of money to Kyrsten Sinema right after she torpedoed a drug price-fixing bill. So we'll talk just a bit about what that is and what that means. Family Guy wants you to get the vaccination, so we will talk a bit about their PSA, and we'll watch their PSA too. And in culture news, Twitter enables the Bitcoin tipping, so we'll talk a bit about that. And the Mario Brothers movie that we've been hearing about for 4 years is finally going to be coming to the table. What do I think about it? Well, I'm probably not going to see it because it's a movie. But it's going to be all this and more. Hey, 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 do you trust the plan yet? I'm Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Alright, so the new musical selection is in for the day. We will see if that actually does do something, if we get a pop or a copyright or something else like that, or demonetized. Ooh, demonetized! Not like I went in there and turned the AdSense off and told the monetization people that they could go and fuck themselves. It's not like I did that, but I'm on with that, see if it goes. I like the playlist, I really do. The YouTube control for volume is a little bit jankier. I'm going to see if I can find an individual mixer, a software one that will go ahead and let me control individual windows for volume, because that's going to help out this show a lot if I can, because instead of, going in and trying to use the YouTube mixer off here to adjust the volume, the tone, the tenor, etc., I can go in on the mixer and use that to adjust the volume, and that's probably got a smoother control than that little tiny little volume bar at the bottom of the YouTube channel that does not work with the scroll wheel like the one on Pretzel Rocks does. But that is back-end stuff for another time. You guys are here for the news. I have a couple announcements before we get started. Number one, as per usual, let's get this up here. As per usual, we will go ahead and say that the new website is coming. TurnSomePagesProductions.com is in the works right now. We're going to be doing some fundraiser. I think most of the shows know that it's here. At least one person on most of the shows knows that it's here. I'm going to do some big marketing for this over the weekend just to get some attention and some eyes on it. So if you guys want to throw some retweets out, tell your friends, tell them, hey, here's this really cool new website that hopes to be news by the common man for the man. That would be awesome. We're going to have 7 great shows, 6 of which this one, The Daily Ignoramus, The Porch Boys, The Already Conservative, The Freckles and Brit Show, and the Breakdown with Birkenhoff. We're going to have those 6, but there will be an announcement coming up in the near future because we are going to pull a 7th show, or at least invite a 7th show. I don't know if they're going to say, yes, we want to do this or not. But yes, I'm going to invite a 7th show onto it. Plus, we've got some writers. We've got some great people ready on board to come back and start contributing articles. We have got a great web lady. I hope that once this takes off, you guys can go to her for all of your web development needs. Fair prices. Great person to work around, great person to be around, and really will get everything else taken care of. So there's that. I'm not going to reveal any names right now, but you guys all know who she is. I guarantee. As far as the other announcement here, before we get into the finance news, this will be my final stream on Trovo. I gave it a lot of thought. I know that some of my audience really enjoys using Trovo, which is cool. Thank you for that. Thank you very much for coming in and using Trovo, giving me another place where I can broadcast, transmit everything. I am doing this in solidarity. And now, even though I don't care for Matt Christensen anymore, because of a misunderstanding that stemmed from the charity stream that I choose not to talk to him about because of the depth of it. I'm not going to go into this on air, but that's what it stems around, is because of something that an action that he took surrounding the 24-hour charity stream. Regardless of that, in solidarity with him and his followers and the fact that he got banned and all of his money and donations taken away from him on Trovo, and the fact that my best friend Stephen Ignoramus has also been removed from Trovo. I don't know if there's a donation situation there, but that he has also been removed from Trovo. This will be my last stream on Trovo. This will be it. I'm not going to give them the views. I'm not going to give them the support. I'm not going to give them the advertisement. I'm not going to allow them to use my content while they go and censor other content, including content from people who are either my friends or people I have once respected in the past. I'm not going to do that. That's the long and short of it. So I wanted to make sure that everybody had a chance. Oh, well, it's just Ron, but if somebody goes back and sees the VOD of this on demand or something and they're like, hey, this guy's pretty cool, and they want to go find one of the other platforms, you can find me on YouTube, youtube.com/jedgar101, twitch.tv/jedgar101, dlive.tv/edsblog Twitter, I believe, yes. Somebody correct that if I'm wrong. You can find my Facebook page, that is Ed's World. You can go check me out over there. I will be looking to see what other platform I can use because I do want to have another backup. But yes, as of right now, this is the very last stream on Trovo. Thank you for not banning me while I was on there, but I'm not doing it anymore. Screw that. You will not use my audience to grow while you're banning other people out. So, fuck yourself. Thank you for everybody who watched on there, but we're done with that. All right, let's get into the finance of the day. Let's get the chat up here so I can see what you guys are doing. All right. Anyway, let's get into it. Starting with the Dow. The The Dow had another up day yesterday, coming up to 34,764.82. My announcements took too long, so now we actually have to look at where it's starting at right now, because the trading is getting ready to start here. But it did have an update throughout the day yesterday, in spite of the China woes, which caused the futures to fall back down again, and in spite of the Fed tapering, which I think is also behind the behind everything falling back down. So, well, knock on wood that we had a good day, but it does look like some of this is coming back down and coming home to roost again. It does not look like September is going to be a good month for the Dow, for any of the major indices, or for the Biden economy either, but we will talk a bit about that as we go. Looking in at the Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin is at 44,533 US dollars and 10 US cents. That is last night's price. Let's get a refresh on this. Ooh, it tanked overnight though. Holy shit. Yeah, that was last night's price. It was 44,000. It tanked overnight. Well, Bitcoin's on sale again. Crazy Bitcoin sale. 41,610 US dollars and 70 US cents is the current Bitcoin price. So I wonder what caused a severe drop like that. That's $3,000 overnight, but I guess we'll probably look into it, possibly see if IBD or CNN has something to say about that. Looking at your metal prices, it looks like copper is on the retreat right now. So now's the time to go back and turn that stuff back in as it continues to go down. Hold it while it's going up and start selling it when it goes back down. Your steel is also up. Aluminum passed 60 cents a pound on national average, which, considering when we started watching the metal, it was at 53 and it dropped down to 49 at one point. That's doing pretty good right now. So looks like all of your coppers are on the downswing. Steel, brass is on the upswing. Brass shells are on the upswing, but also steel, light iron, number one steel, cast iron, rotors. Those are all in the upswing. A complete car is down to 205 a ton. Shreddable steel also 201 a ton, but stainless is up. Radiators and cans are down. Sheet aluminum is down. I don't know, well, it must be rims that are holding it back up, because it looks like everything except for clean aluminum and copper fin and aluminum rims is down on the aluminum side. So maybe it's time to start gathering up those cans as well. But that's what we're seeing coming out of the metal prices. Let's look at what IBD has to say. Dow futures fall, Bitcoin tumbles on China cryptocurrency ban, Salesforce leads 17 stocks flashing buys. From Ed Carson. Dow Jones futures fell Friday morning, along with S&P 500 futures and NASDAQ futures, with Evergrande default fears ongoing and China banning all cryptocurrency transactions. Oh, that's why it dropped. That makes sense. Oh, no, you no come over here, you trade crypto. No, you trade yuan. Now I get it. Nike and Costco earnings were also in focus. The stock market rally had another strong session, with the S&P 500 joining the NASDAQ in reclaiming key support, while leading stocks showed strong action. Another big batch of top stocks offered buying opportunities on Thursday. Adcore, Salesforce, Dell, Darden, Accenture, Devon Energy, Square, Denbury, O'Reilly Auto, Moderna, MGM Resorts, Bank of America, Advanced Micro Devices, Index Labs, SVB Financial, Microsoft, and Google parent Alphabet were all actionable, following several others on Wednesday. This is IBD begging you, please buy. We want to see September go up for us. CRM stock, Dell, Darden, Devon, Denbury, O'Reilly, MGM, and SVB Financial were breakouts or reclaiming traditional buy points. AMD, Bank of America, Square, Adcore, Moderna, and Index Labs were early entries from rebounds above the 50-day, 10-week, or trend line breaks, or both. Accenture, Microsoft, and Google are rebounding from first test of their 10-week lines. Costco and Nike earnings, headline key overnight news. Costco and Nike earnings both beat views, with the former topping sales forecasts and the latter just missing. Costco stock ended higher in overnight trade. Costco could potentially have a buying opportunity as it bounces off its 10-week line for the first time since a June breakout. Nike fell 5% in pre-market action, adding to losses as executives signaled supply chain woes and margin pressures in the current quarter. Microsoft and Google are on the IBD leaderboard. Microsoft and Google are also on IBD long-term leaders, along with index stock. Square and Dell are on Swing Trader. Google, Adcore, and Moderna are all in the IBD 50. Dell was Thursday's IBD stock of the day. Dude, you're getting a Dell! I've had a couple. They're not that impressive, I'm not going to lie. A key Evergrande unit made a debt payment to domestic bondholders on Thursday, with the deal announced Wednesday, sparking the market rebound, but Evergrande missed a Thursday deadline to make an $83 million interest payment on dollar-denominated debt. The Chinese property giant has been silent, not providing any clarity to bondholders. It's now in a 30-day window when it can still make a payment. China's central bank declared all crypto transactions illegal, promising harsh penalties. Financial institutions and non-bank payments cannot offer services to activities and operations related to virtual currencies, the People's Bank of China said on its website on Friday. China didn't outrightly ban the possession of cryptocurrencies. The news hit Bitcoin, other altcoins, and crypto-related stocks on Friday morning. Bitcoin fell 5% versus 24 hours earlier. Ethereum and Doge tumbled 7 to 8%. CoinDesk, Marathon Digital Technology, and Square stock were among the crypto-related stocks falling. So that's probably why Bitcoin took a tumble overnight last night. That actually makes sense. On the futures, Dow Jones futures fell 0.3% versus fair value, with Nike stock acting as a drag. That's a drag. Come on. That was a bad joke. I apologize. S&P 500 futures sank 0.4%, while NASDAQ 100 futures lost 0.6%. Remember, overnight action in Dow futures and elsewhere doesn't necessarily translate into actual trading in the next regular stock market session. All right, with that, let's move on. Let's see what CNN had to say. Dow soars more than 500 points as Wall Street's China fears subside. From Anakin Tape. You were the chosen one, Anakin! I just watched that movie the other day. It's still a good movie. I don't care what you guys think or how purist you are for the original trilogy. I like the prequels. Wall Street continued to rebound on Thursday, shrugging off both the Federal Reserve's intention to roll back its massive monetary stimulus, another uptick in weekly jobless claims, and worries over the Evergrande debt crisis in China. All three major stock indices closed sharply higher for the second straight day as the market came roaring back following Monday's steep sell-off. The ongoing debt crisis surrounding Chinese real estate business Evergrande and America's debt ceiling debate also didn't seem to faze investors on Thursday. The Dow closed up 1.5% or 507 points, while the S&P 500 rose 1.2% on Thursday. The NASDAQ Composite finished 1% higher, and it was the best day since July for the Dow and S&P 500. The NASDAQ notched its best performance since August. It has been a turbulent week for the market, which sold off sharply on Monday over concerns that Evergrande's debt crisis could have ripple effects across the world. The heavily indebted real estate giant is facing a deadline to pay nearly $84 million of bond interest on Thursday, but it's not clear yet whether that's going to happen. Then the Fed announced on Wednesday it's nearly there on the decision to taper its pandemic stimulus. That's because inflation is high and the job market is recovering, even though Delta remains a looming threat to the economy. When they say it's a looming threat, that means that it's going to be put back into the back pocket to pull out when the people think that they're going to get a little bit more too free. And September data tracking the manufacturing and services sector were slightly below expectations early Thursday, with the services business activity index falling to a 14-month low. A few weeks ago, the way worse than expected August jobs report had pushed expectations of a taper announcement back, but Jerome Powell said he didn't need to see a blowout September jobs tally to make up for last month's disappointment. That takes a lot of pressure off the next jobs report, due in 2 weeks. Yeah, he also knows that he can't just keep printing money and hope that everything's going to stay above board. Jerome Powell knows that he needs to do something at somewhere. It's quite remarkable how relaxed the investors are with the situation, given how much we have already been through this week, said Onada senior market analyst Craig Erlam in a note to clients. Weekly claims for unemployment rose to 332,000 last week, marking the second increase in a row when adjusting for seasonal swings. Without these adjustments, claims fell to about 263,000. The Labor Department reported in normal times the adjustments are meant to make data easier to parse through the seasonal swings of the year, but that went out the window during the pandemic, with the data not following any patterns seen before. Claims last week went up sharply in Louisiana, which is likely still seeing the devastating impact from Hurricane Ida play out on its labor market. Many economists and those in the media are focused on a number of new weekly claims, wrote Andrew Stetner, senior fellow at Century Foundation, a left-leaning think tank, in emailed comments, but these data points pale in comparison to the unprecedented number of workers cut off from benefits who rightly feel abandoned by policymakers. I hate to say this, but you should feel abandoned by policymakers. You really should. That should be the relationship you have with policymakers, is that you should feel abandoned by them. Because you should be abandoned by them. The whole point of this country was for you to come out here to be the wild western frontier, for you to make it on your own, without having King George to take care of you every step of the way. And I don't know how we devolved back into the situation of King George having to take care of you every step of the way. I don't get it. I don't understand. But regardless, that's where we're at right now. And people still expect the government to take care of them at every step of the way from cradle to grave and vote for it. But that's what we see coming off of this. I suppose we should get into the big news of the day, shall we? Unless somebody might have to question over, who is that guy talking to? I need to know who this gentleman is talking to. Alright, let's start here with CBS News. House approves bill providing $1 billion for Israel's Iron Dome. From Melissa Quinn. The House on Thursday approved a bill for $1 billion for Israel's Iron Dome defense system 2 days after the funding was stripped from a short-term government spending bill amid objections from progressive lawmakers. The measure cleared the House in a bipartisan vote of 420 to 9. That means there were 6 people missing, and it was overwhelming. This thing right here tells me that the progressives have no voice. 420 to 9. 8 Democrats and 1 Republican voted against the funding of the missile defense system. 2 other Democrats, Hank Johnson of Georgia and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Honorable and Venerable D. Twitch, voted present. House Democrats on Wednesday introduced a bill providing $1 billion for Israel's Iron Dome after the provision was abruptly removed from a government spending legislation on Tuesday. Progressive lawmakers objected to its inclusion in the stopgap bill, known as a continuing resolution. Okay, we've had stopgaps since Bush was in office. Can we have a budget at some point, please? Known as a continuing resolution, which would keep the government funded through December 3rd and suspends the debt limit until December of 2022. Stunning and brave, Chilaga. Stunning and brave. Support for the Iron Dome, which protects Israel from rocket attacks launched by terrorist groups such as Hamas from Gaza, has enjoyed broad bipartisan support. The U.S. has already provided $1.6 billion to Israel for Iron Dome batteries, interceptors, co-production costs, and maintenance, according to a 2020 report from Congressional Research Service. The system is co-produced by Israel's Rafael Advanced Defense System and U.S.-based defense contractor Raytheon. Sweet, I'll get a stock return. That $1 billion is going to help put some money back into the shareholders' pockets. Debate over the latest round of Iron Dome funding sparked fierce debate between some Democrats. Congressman Rashida Tlaib, a Democrat from Michigan who opposed the bill, called the Israeli government an apartheid regime, and we'll talk about that a little later, and said the $1 billion represents an absurd and unjustifiable increase in the U.S. funding for the Iron Dome. But we're going to figure out who all voted for the Iron Dome, and we're going to impeach the motherfuckers. I will not support an effort to enable and support war crimes, human rights abuses, and violence, she said in a speech on the House floor. We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety at a time when Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system. In response to her claims, Congressman Ted Deutsch of Florida, a fellow Democrat, accused Tlaib of advancing a view that's anti-Semitic. We will talk about that in just a second. So we'll skip over this for now. Well, that's actually the end of the article. But I do want to share the video here of the Honorable and Venerable Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch. So emotional from what she had to do. Let's watch. Whoops. Wrong volume control. Wrong window.
Designated by Mr. Lawson of Florida, pursuant to House Resolution 8, I inform the House that Mr. Lawson will vote
Look, she's
nay
crying. Look at her.
on House Resolution 483 amendments. He votes nay.
For what purpose?
Designated by Mr. Lawson of Florida, pursuant to House Resolution 8, I inform the House that...
Look at her. I'm crying. I had to vote present instead of no.
Mr. Lawson will vote nay on House Resolution 483 amendments.
Oh no, my job is so hard.
He votes nay.
Yeah. And that's an amendment to it. That's not the full vote on that. So there are some things that go along with this now, and the image of her crying is probably going to cause her some votes coming off of this. From what I understand, and I've not been able to follow up on this, with the redistricting that's happening in New York, the Honorable and Venerable AOC D. Twitch's district is going to stay. Her actual New York district, not her Twitch district. That's going to stay, but it's going to get slightly expanded because New York is losing a district. They're going to an upstate district that has a reliable Republican, obviously. You knew that was going to happen. But she is going to have her district expanded slightly, and I'm to the understanding that some of that is going to include... How do I want to put this gently? The Brooklyn deli owner demographic. But, I mean, with that, that means that she really can't be out there doing things that are appearing anti-Semitic. Whether or not they're anti-Semitic, well, that's for you to decide. I don't necessarily think it is anti-Semitic to vote against big foreign aid to another country, but I'm about as anti-foreign aid as you can get. That's the thing. But I also know how this plays to Soccer Mom America, especially once Newsmax gets their spin on it, and how this also plays to Brooklyn deli owner America, especially after Newsmax gets their spin on it. And Shoe on Head, by the way, I found her over on Twitter. I don't know if I follow her or not, but it might have just come up because of mutual follows that we had. Points out that AOC is crying because her job is too hard. The job that we elected her to do is too hard. So maybe we shouldn't have her doing the job because she thinks it's too hard. So hard that she has to cry. And I just looked at that and I'm like, what universe is this that I agree with Shoe on a Democratic Socialist? What's happening here? Where are we that I agree with Shoe on this? I don't know. Let's keep going. Let's grab one from The Blaze, talking, of course, about Ted Deutsch and Rashida Tlaib from Alex Nitzberg. Representative Ted Deutsch of Florida passionately pushed back on Thursday after fellow Democratic Rep. Rashida Tlaib of Michigan described the nation of Israel as an apartheid state when she spoke in opposition to a measure to provide $1 billion in funding to Israel's Iron Dome missile defense system. We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety. Is that Tlaib? Yeah, that's Tlaib. When Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system, And our Rights Watch has said are war crimes. We should be also talking about Palestinian need for security from Israel attacks. We must be consistent in our commitment to human life, period. Everyone deserves to be safe there, said Tlaib, a progressive congresswoman whose parents are Palestinian immigrants. I firmly believe our country must oppose selling weapons online. Yeesh. That's spicy. I don't know if I'm going to be able to read that at the end of the show. That's spicy. I firmly believe our country must be opposed to selling weapons to anyone, anywhere, without human rights law compliance. Well, I'd be in favor of saying we should be opposed to selling weapons to anyone, anywhere, period, but, you know, if these people want to shoot at each other, I don't want to be involved. That is not a popular opinion across this country, but I don't care. The Israeli government is an apartheid regime. Not my words, the words of Human Rights Watch and Israel's own Human Rights Watch organization. Beat Selim, she declared. GOP Rep. Chuck Fleischman of Tennessee spoke after Tlaib, urging the majority to condemn her comments. Then Deutsch spoke and said that Tlaib had besmirched Israel. He rejected the notion of that country as an apartheid state. Deutsch declared, I cannot allow one of my colleagues to stand on the floor of the House of Representatives and label the Jewish Democratic State of Israel an apartheid state. I reject it. Today, this caucus, this body, the House of Representatives, will overwhelmingly stand with our ally, the State of Israel, in replenishing this defensive system. If you believe in human rights, if you believe in saving lives, Israeli lives, and Palestinian lives, I say to my colleagues who just besmirched our ally, our greatest ally, by the way, then you support this legislation. So let's we can watch, I think, both of these videos, hopefully without getting popped on YouTube. Let me get the volume dropped here on the background.
The gentlelady from Michigan is recognized for 1 minute.
Thank you so much, colleagues. I rise in opposition to this supplemental. I will not support an effort to enable and support war crimes, human rights abuses, and violence. We cannot be talking only about Israelis' need for safety at a time when Palestinians are living under a violent apartheid system and are dying from what Human Rights Watch has said are war crimes. We should also be talking about Palestinian need for security from Israeli attacks. We must be consistent in our commitment to human life, period. Everyone deserves to be safe there. The bill claims to be, quote, a replenishment for weapons apartheid Israel used in a crisis it manufactured when it attacked worshippers at one of the most holiest Islamic locations, the Al-Aqsa Mosque, committing, again, numerous war crimes. And yet, a $1 billion in American tax dollars that my colleagues want to give represents, to me, an absurd and unjustifiable 140 times increase to U.S. funding for the Iron Dome. I firmly believe our country must oppose selling weapons to anyone, anywhere, without human rights law compliance. The Israeli government is an apartheid regime. Not my words, the words of human rights.
Okay, I can't listen to her anymore. But I mean, that is some of the things to look at. When this is the thing that blows my mind, by the way, when we talk about this and Palestinian affairs that are coming out of Congress. One of the things that blows my mind is the fact that our friends on the left will seethe and scream and screech if the government is used. Okay. I thought that was going to be another ad. They will seethe and scream and screech if the government is used to advance the agendas of Christians or Jewish people. But let's be clear about what's going on here. A lot of what we're seeing coming out of the Palestinian state is an advancement of Islam. I mean, this is a religious clash. This is not necessarily a national clash. This is a religious thing that's going on in Israel right now between the Palestinians and the Israelis. This boils down mostly to religion on top of everything. But they're okay with using the government gun to enforce the will of Muslims in the Palestinian region. Let's take some time and listen to Ted Deutsch briefly, and then we will move on from this.
thank my friend, Chair DeLauren. I thank the Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have a speech about how important it is for us to stand up against terror and the terror strikes against Israel launched by the terrorist group Hamas from Gaza. 4,500 rockets that Iron Dome helped us stop. And I have a speech that's all about how important it is for us to replenish that. But, Mr. Speaker, I cannot allow one of my colleagues to stand on the floor of the House of Representatives and label the Jewish democratic state of Israel an apartheid state. I reject it. Today, this caucus, this body, the House of Representatives will overwhelmingly stand with our ally, the state of Israel, in replenishing this defensive system. If you believe in human rights, if you believe in saving lives, Israeli lives and Palestinian lives, I say to my colleague who just besmirched our ally, then you will support this legislation. May I have 15 more seconds?
You're the gentleman, 15.
All right. So, and I mean, there is a massive sentiment towards Israel in our Congress, which can be shown by the 420-9 vote to refund the Iron Dome system. And it is a defensive system. I love how Rashida Tlaib is saying that they're using the Iron Dome to offensively go after the Palestinians. No, they're not. It is a defensive system. It's a fixed system. So, I guess you could hack the thing to use it as an offensive system because the rockets could be used and targeted to go out after ground targets rather than air targets. But regardless, that's what they're doing. That's what they're screaming about. That's what they're screeching about. And that's where we're going. By the way, I put the link to the playlist that I'm using in the chat today because that was one of the rules. If you use this, is that you do have to shout it out. So if you guys like the music that you're hearing, go ahead and check that out. I like the playlist. I usually just set it on, well, it's on live stream all the time, but I set it on at work and just let it go throughout the entire day. Usually it repeats 2 or 3 times, but that's fine. All right, let's keep going. All right, let's do some more congressional stuff. From the New York Post, and this is an op-ed. So keep that in mind. This is not Green Check Verified News. This is from Dan McLaughlin. Manchin, Cinema, and even the Squad might just stop this $3.5 trillion monstrosity. From Dan McLaughlin. Can Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema save America from ruin? All of Washington is watching as Monday's deadline approaches for a House showdown over the bipartisan infrastructure bill passed by the Senate. Moderate and progressive Democrats are each trying to call the other's bluff. The question is whether one side blinks or both cut a deal. If neither happens, that will be good news for the fiscal sanity and bad news for President Biden's agenda. The immediate stakes are the same as they have been for months. The bipartisan bill authorizes $550 billion in new infrastructure spending. That's a big number, but Congress has spent worse. That passed the Senate with significant GOP support. Meanwhile, progressive Democrats are pushing the American Families Plan, their $3.5 trillion package of welfare spending. No Republican supports this, which all by itself spends more than $27,000 for every household. Jesus! $27,000 per household. Nothing like the American Families Plan has ever passed Congress. It would cost nearly as much in 2021 dollars as our World War II war effort. The fiscal burden could tie the hands of every Congress for a generation in spending money on anything else, let alone addressing deficits or the national debt. With a 50-50 Senate and 220 to 212 House majority, Democrats can pass both these bills through a budget reconciliation process if they're united, but they aren't, and the loss of one vote in the Senate or 4 votes in the House would sink their agenda. House progressives, most vocally the Honorable and Venerable Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, D-Twitch, and the Squad, have said they will vote down the bipartisan infrastructure package on Monday because it's being offered alone without the American Families Plan. They want the two linked to ensure the bigger package passes, but Manchin, Sinema, and 9 House Democrat moderates have pledged to oppose the $3.5 trillion bill unless the infrastructure bill passes first. which would give them leverage to negotiate down the size of the American Families Plan. For now, Speaker Pelosi has acceded to the request, hence the Monday vote. Because the bipartisan bill is up first, the progressives who have to take the stand now or fold, Representative Pramila Jayapal has complained that Monday's vote is an arbitrary, self-imposed deadline, which of course it is. House Whip Jim Clyburn has admitted that the vote may not happen on Monday. Delay is the likeliest outcome for now, but the delay only draws out the agony of the standoff. Pelosi won't want to hold a losing vote, but she might put the progressives to the test. If they vote the bill down, they get to show their voters that they might meant what they said, and they make a deal later. If they pass the infrastructure bill, Pelosi begins to break the logjam and can get down to the business of hammering out a similar compromise version of the American Families Plan. But is a compromise possible? The linkage standoff in the House obscures the fact that the American Families Plan itself can't pass until both Manchin and Sinema support it. It also can't pass if at least half of the House moderates stand their ground. So this might destroy everything, and if this goes the way that it looks like it's going, then there's a good chance that this lame ducks President Biden before the midterms, because he can't get anything else passed. This might be the greatest gift Democrats get, though, if they do stop this as well, because this is campaign ads. This is them going out on TV saying, "We have to pass this. American people are dying. And we can't pass this with the current makeup of Congress. So you have to give us 10 more Democrats in the Senate and 75 more Democrats in the House. Otherwise, we can't do anything." So there is that aspect to this. And always keep in mind that a lot of this does come down to they're already planning on how they're going to run for 2022. But we will continue to watch where this goes and see what happens. This is intense to watch. But this is not the only thing that Sinema has going on with her. Reading from Salon, because nobody else touched this story. I don't know if this is true or not, because none of the mainstreams touched this, which is surprising. Because I do think that if they go too hard on her, she's just going to throw up her hands and say, "Fuck you, I'm an independent now. I'm not a Democrat anymore. And I am voting against this bill." And the Turtle Man becomes the majority leader again. But from Salon, Big Pharma medical firms donated $750,000 to Kyrsten Sinema, and then she opposed the drug bill. From Igor Derish. Senator Kyrsten Sinema, the controversial Arizona Democrat, who threatens to derail President Biden's legislative agenda, received more than $750,000 in donations from the pharmaceutical and medical device industries. After that, she announced her opposition to a Democratic plan to lower prescription drug costs. Sinema told the White House officials that she opposes the House and Senate bills that would allow Medicare to negotiate drug costs. Sources told Politico this week Democrats estimate those bills would save $450 billion over the next decade, and thereby pay for a large portion of President Biden's $3.5 trillion spending plan. The budget bill would also expand child care, health care, and paid family leave, and would fund programs to combat climate change, among the other measures. 3 House Democrats have also balked at the plan, although they have offered a centrist alternative that would drastically limit which drugs are subject to Medicare negotiation. Sinema reportedly opposes the proposal as well. During her successful 2018 Senate campaign, Sinema repeatedly vowed to lower prescription drug prices and drug costs for seniors. Sinema is a longtime favorite of the pharmaceutical industry and now appears ready to undermine Biden's entire agenda as Big Pharma wages a lobbying blitz in hopes of torpedoing the bill, which nearly 90% of voters support. Sinema and several House Democrats who oppose the drug pricing plan have received major financial support from the industry, given a 50-50 Senate and a narrow House majority of 220 to 212. Try to say that one quickly. With 3 seats currently vacant, their opposition would sink the proposal or even the entire budget bill. Sinema has received $519,988 from PACs and individuals in the pharmaceutical industry throughout her political career. According to data from the Center for Responsive Politics, she brought in more than $120,000 in pharma contributions between 2019 and 2020, even though she's not up for re-election until 2024. Sinema has also received $190,161 US dollars from donors in the pharmaceutical manufacturing space and $62,797 from the medical supplies industry. Sinema's office is led by former lobbyist whose firm worked on behalf of pharmaceutical companies. The senator's chief of staff, Meg Joseph, was a registered lobbyist and principal at Clark & Weinstock, where her clients included the health insurer HealthNet. During her tenure, the company also lobbied on behalf of numerous pharmaceutical companies, including Pfizer, drug distributor AmerisourceBergen Corp., and the biotech firm Genzyme Corporation. It also lobbied on behalf of Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America, whose acronym is literally PhRMA, and AdvaMed, two major industry trade groups. So, and I'm sure that Salon and all the big progressive outlets out there are doing what they can to torpedo Sinema's credibility as she goes in ready to vote against this big bill that they're trying to foist on the American people. I'm sure that is a major part of what we're seeing here. As far as if she did it, well, I guess the documentation shows it. I hate the fact that there has to be government laws to lower drug prices. You know what it's going to lower drug prices? Allow generics. Because then the big pharma companies have to come back and fight against the generics, who can probably usually sell the pill for at sometimes a tenth of the price. Because they're not inflating it because they don't have a monopoly on the market. Competition brings the market down. Government intervention only makes other people richer and gives the opportunity for them to go pay off a senator to get the government out of the way and allow them to have their monopoly on everything. I mean, if this is true, and it's Salon, so I don't necessarily trust them, but if this is true, then yeah, this is unethical to the top. But given the fact that a CNN, an NBC, a Fox, none of them who have green check verification have touched this, does make me question this a little bit. But that's where they go from that. Let's go from NBC on the other side of the aisle in the other chamber. Rep. Lauren Bobert improperly used campaign funds for rent and utilities. Yeah, Leibt to Max. I'm trying out something new because the description in the video said that it was stream safe, so I wanted to test it. Plus, I really like this playlist. This is from Dara Gregorian. Rep. Lauren Bobert improperly spent thousands of dollars in campaign funds on rent and utilities. Her campaign acknowledged this week in a filing with the FEC, but it said the money had been paid back. The FEC had asked Bobert's campaign treasurer in a letter last month for more information about the $6,000 in payments that had been listed in her quarterly filing as personal expense of Lauren Bobert billed the campaign account in error. The filing said the money had already been paid back. The letter warned that if it is determined that the disbursements constitutes the personal use of campaign funds, the Commission may consider taking further legal action. Of course they will. However, prompt action to obtain reimbursement of the funds in question will be taken into consideration. In a filing this week, the campaign said the money had been sent to a person named John Pacheco at the same address as Bobert's restaurant, Shooter's Grill. The eatery in the town of Rifle is best known for its armed waitresses. Bobert Communications Director Ben Stout said the funds were reimbursed months ago when Representative Bobert self-reported the error. The FEC prohibits campaign funds for personal expenses. It defines personal use as any use of funds in a campaign account of a candidate or former candidate to fulfill a commitment, obligation, or expense of any person that would exist irrespective of the candidate's campaign or responsibilities of a federal office holder. Penalties can include letters reminding candidates of their obligations to financial penalties. So this is, and we talked a little bit about this last night in a Discord call. I thought that this was going, because it's a federal crime, could include up to and including expulsion from Congress. That is, I looked into this further, not the case. That's not what goes on with this. What happens with this is, when you do something like this, you pay a fine. You have to do the restitution. You have to go pay it back, and you have to pay a fine to the FEC. So this is a gigantic nothing burger. But this didn't stop all of Twitter yesterday from running out and screaming over the fact that, oh my God, Bobert used her campaign funds to pay rent and bills and everything else. She needs to be removed from Congress. As well, the progressive left on Twitter usually does. And I thought about that for a second. I said, you know what? If they removed everybody from Congress who used, whether deliberately or inadvertently, campaign funds to pay rent or personal expenses, we would have no Congress. And then I thought about that a little bit more. I said, you know what? Hey, maybe we should start cracking down on this, because having no Congress? Fuck, that sounds like a good idea. They are the least liked branch of government right now. But yeah, I mean, it looks like she didn't, and that's a big part of this. And when I say that too, by the way, I'm not trying to inundate malicious intent to senators and representatives on both sides. I think a lot of this is that these people don't know. They get this money coming in. Most of them, especially if they're coming up from a grassroots fashion, are taking time off work. Like, if I ran for Congress, there was no way, or the Senate, or whichever I ran for, there's no way I could continue doing my day job. It just wouldn't happen. There's no way. And yeah, I would probably, now that I know this, I wouldn't make the mistake, but I would probably make the mistake of saying, oh, well, there's campaign fund coming in. Hey, I can turn around and I can use this to pay my rent or my mortgage or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Just as a temporary thing, I'll pay it back. But no, that's a no-no. But as a first-time person who's not familiar with the rules, and there are a lot of them, I could see where a person would make that mistake. I'm sure that a lot of people, I would surmise that in their first term, the majority of Congress people have made that mistake. By their second term, they've already got the letter and the slap on the wrist from the FEC that says, no, you can't do this. But I would surmise that a lot of them have made this mistake. It's probably a very common mistake to make. Especially there again, if you're coming out of the grassroots sector and you don't know, and you know that you've got to take time off work to go and campaign. You got to put gas in your truck or gas in the bus or anything else like that. But that's what we see coming off of that. Here's an amazing one from the New York Times, a former newspaper, which is something, by the way, that I've been saying forever. And this is being somebody who is against abortion, but also doesn't want the government to be involved with it. I have always said, okay, Congress, that you have to run on this every single time, because the next president might end abortion. He might chain women to the stoves, and he might make it into The Handmaid's Tale. What do we do? Well, I've always said, okay, if this is that important to you, make a law, vote on it. Don't leave this to Supreme Court precedent that could get overturned at a moment's notice, as soon as they find out that the details surrounding Roe v. Wade are actually quite questionable. Don't leave it on them. Do something about it. You are in the position to do so. You are lawmakers. Make a law. Well, it seems that might be what they're trying to do right now. From the New York Times, a former newspaper. With Roe under threat, House plans to vote on bill to counter abortion curbs. From Carl Halsey. House Democrats plan on Friday to push through broad legislation to uphold abortion rights, taking urgent action after a major Supreme Court setback as they brace for a ruling next year that could further roll back access to abortion nationwide. The House vote will be largely symbolic, given that the bill, the Women's Health Protection Act, has little chance of advancing because of Republican opposition in the Senate, but House Democrats' decision to consider it reflects the view that the issue could resonate strongly in the midterm elections next year, particularly if female voters see the Supreme Court action as a threat to rights that many believed has been long settled. Democrats moved swiftly to schedule action on the measure after the court refused this month to block a Texas law that prohibits most abortion after 6 weeks of gestation. It would guarantee the right to abortion through federal law, preempting hundreds of state laws governing the procedure around the country, also circumvent and bypass the 10th Amendment, but so does Roe v. Wade. Democrats argue it would codify the Roe v. Wade, the 1973 Supreme Court decision that established a constitutional right to privacy. that most people have mistaken as a constitutional right to abortion. The bill's authors say they began drafting it a decade ago in response to emerging efforts at the state level to impose stringent requirements on those seeking and providing abortions, as well as the increasingly conservative makeup of the court. They say that the court's current membership and its hostility towards abortion rights have validated the approach, and that time is of the essence because of the justices that are set to rule next year on a Mississippi law that severely restricts abortion. It became very evident that we needed to have something that would push back against all these state restrictions, said Representative Judy Chu, Democrat of California, and the lead author of the measure. We could see that change was possible at the Supreme Court, and we knew that we had to make sure that Roe was protected. But opponents of the law, including some Republicans who have supported abortion rights, argue that it would go far beyond the landmark court precedent, stripping states of much of their ability to regulate abortion and impose measures intended to make the procedure safe. They say it would lead to many, many more abortions in the late stages of pregnancy. The legislation is really about a mandate by a federal government that would demand abortion on demand without any consideration for anyone, including the conscience of the provider, said Representative Kathy McMorris Rogers, a Republican of Washington and a chief foe of the bill. Yeah, there are a lot of things that are going on with this, and really honestly, as I've said from the beginning, this should not be a federal issue to begin with. This should be a states' rights issue. It always should have been. The states should have the final say on what's best for their states. But they don't like that. They don't like that idea because the states might not rule the favor that we want. They want the big federal response. That's why they're moving so much more power to the federal government. And that's wrong. That's not something they should be doing. But they will continue to do it, I guess. I am interested, and I do want to see. I don't want a voice vote on this either, by the way. I want to make sure that there is a roll call vote for this. Because I do want some of these moderate Democrats to vote the way that they need to, and then have to go home and face their constituents based on the votes that they made. That's what I want to see out of this. I want to see them face down their constituents over this. But we'll see what happens, and we'll see where this goes. This might be just another midterm election ploy again. Alright, apparently there's a PSA out there. And a PSA that goes along with the with the vaccine. Let's just say that. So let's listen to what they have to say from the minds of Seth MacFarlane. Let's have a listen to this.
God, I hate getting shots. Why do I gotta get this stupid COVID vaccine anyway?
Peter, it's COVID. You should know how to say it. It's been well over a year.
Yeah, well, I only ever read it.
So, if it isn't the mommy-to-be. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to be competent today. Now, before I administer the vaccine, do you have any questions?
Yeah, how does a vaccine work?
Well, think of the vaccine as a large ethnic bouncer, and COVID as the drunk entitled white kid yelling, "Do you know who my father is?"
God, do I have to do everything? Vaccines have been around for hundreds of years. They helped eliminate smallpox from the face of the earth, and they're well on the way to doing the same with polio. Those were once devastating diseases, you understand, and now, thanks to vaccines, you don't even have to worry about them. What do you say, Brian? Should we show them how it works?
Well, I have a date with that chick that works at the bowling alley. What the hell? Where are we?
We're inside the fat man's body.
Fine, I'll text her. I'll be late. There's no reception.
Oh, yes, there's too much plaque in his arteries. You'll never get a signal. Anyway, vaccines protect us from illnesses by activating our immune response without the danger of actual infection, thereby training the body to fight off the real thing. Some of the COVID vaccines work by exposing your immune system to proteins which resemble the spike protein of the virus but cannot infect you. The vaccine stimulates your immune system to make antibodies against the virus, mimicking what happens when you get COVID, except that you don't get sick with the vaccine. The mRNA vaccines actually use the genetic code of the virus to create a pretend version of the spike protein.
You don't get sick. That's not been the experience of the majority of people I know that got the vaccine. Just saying.
Hi, I look like the virus, but I'm not the virus.
When the real virus tries to attack your body, these pre-made circulating immune proteins are already available, coded to recognize the virus and at the ready to fight back. They essentially find, bind to, and kill the invading virus, drastically reducing the chances that you'll get sick. The vaccine also results in the creation of memory cells that will fight the virus in years to come.
Memory cells, right. I'm glad you said that. I was going to touch on it.
Don't do that. So the more quickly we all get vaccinated, the more quickly we can all get back to doing the things we love safely.
Right, like that chick at the bowling alley.
Yeah, I was thinking of, like, concerts. As of now, billions of COVID vaccines have been administered safely to people around the world. Brian, I think you're stepping on Peter's liver.
Help me.
Oh, God.
Yes, let's just swim over here.
All right, well, what Peter might ask is, what if the vaccine makes him sick?
The common side effects from the COVID vaccines are generally mild and last a few days. But do you know what can have serious long-term side effects? COVID.
Well, he also says he just figures everyone else is going to get it, so why does he have to?
Well, what he should understand is that getting the shot not only protects him, but also the people around him. But even more importantly, if the virus is allowed to spread through an unvaccinated population, it could mutate into a variant that the vaccines might not protect against. And then we're right back where we started. Gal Gadot singing Imagine. We cannot let that happen.
Huh, I just realized this is like one of those Schoolhouse Rocks. Except, without the rock.
Yeah, it's like school. Way to end strong, Brian.
You know what, Doc? I changed my mind. Something inside of me tells me I ought to get the shot.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was a bad joke.
Okay, just give me
oh my God, that was
because I'm very afraid of needles. And also some guy on the radio said...
You're done.
Is that it? That was easy. Is that a freaking Bart Simpson Band-Aid?
Guys, I am convinced. I'm convinced. Animated characters from a has-been TV show have convinced me that I need to go out and get the holy jab. Look, and here's... I guess I didn't want to reveal this too much, but, I mean, it's time to bring something else into this. And I have no problem with anybody else that wants to go out and get this thing. I really don't. If that's what you want to do, then go do it. But don't ask me to do this. I was one of the people who was overprescribed Ritalin as a kid. Well, it was a generic version, but still. My body has never been able to produce an endorphin on its own because I was so hopped up on meth through my entire life. I've been through the big pharma thing before, and I don't want to do it again. I barely take aspirin. I look at some of the Zyrtec that's in my cabinet. We talk about this every morning because I have to keep getting up and blowing my nose because the allergies are so bad. I don't take that because it helps, yes, but I can't function once I have it. I don't take medicine for any. It's not just this medicine, And people are out there. Whoa, if you don't trust the vaccine, why do you trust the monoclonal antibodies? I don't. I don't want to take those either. I want to sit home with some chicken soup, wallow in my misery, hope I don't die, which hopefully means lose a little bit of weight off of this, but hope I don't die, and then get on with my life. But that, no, I was convinced because cartoon characters from a has-been TV show told me to go and get the jab. I wonder how many copyright pops I have at this point. Speaking of the antibodies, Florida buys 3,000 GlaxoSmithKline monoclonal antibodies via DeSantis from NBC6 South Florida's No Author Given. Governor Ron DeSantis said Florida has secured a small shipment of monoclonal antibodies as he says the federal allotment to the state will continue to be reduced next week. Speaking at a news conference in Tampa Thursday, DeSantis said the state will be receiving about 3,000 doses of the new monoclonal antibody treatment from GlaxoSmithKline. DeSantis said the state acquired the treatments to try to make up for reductions in federal allotments of the monoclonal antibodies. Less than 18,000 doses of Regeneron's monoclonal antibodies are expected to arrive from the federal government next week, DeSantis said. Ron says it's a dramatic reduction from just a couple weeks ago when the federal government was sending Florida more than 40,000 treatments per week. Health and Human Services officials say they were changing the system for allocating monoclonal antibodies and to maintain an equitable distribution of the treatments. The governor has championed the use of monoclonal antibodies to fight COVID-19, and Florida has opened more than 25 sites through the state to administer the treatments. But DeSantis said the reduction in treatments from the feds could force the state to possibly close some of those sites. The Holy Ron says the use of the treatments has helped reduce the COVID hospitalizations in the state, which peaked amid the Delta outbreak in August. So, and there again, I don't know if this is the way to do it. I know that it's not being forced on people. It's an option that they're being given, which does make it different from the vaccine. But once again, it comes from Big Pharma. GlaxoSmithKline is another billion-dollar pharmaceutical industry who is probably paying off Ron DeSantis as well to go and promote their treatment over the holy jab. And regardless, I don't want to give them money either. I don't like those people. I don't. I really don't. But that's what we have coming off of this. All right. From 13 ABC WHAM, which I don't know where this is out of. Might be New York, but wherever it is, it's a nice crisp fall day. Governor Hochul not budging on vaccine mandate for healthcare workers, from Jane Chaco. Governor Kathy Hochul is not budging on a vaccine mandate for healthcare workers that is set to take effect on September 27th. To all the healthcare providers, doctors, and nurses in particular who are vaccinated, I say thank you, because you're keeping true to your oath, she said during a visit to Rochester on Wednesday. To those who won't, we will be replacing people. Hochul said there is a plan to replace unvaccinated workers, but did not provide specifics. We are sending out a call statewide. There are facilities, for example, in New York that 98% of the staff are vaccinated. They don't have a worker shortage. We're working closely with these hospitals to find out where we can get other individuals to come in and supplement nursing homes and other facilities, said Hochul. Hochul also mentioned acquiring work visas for foreign healthcare workers, but did not say how long that plan would take. At Strong Memorial Hospital, and I do want you to pay attention to that last paragraph because that's the next article up. At Strong Memorial Hospital, workers are already strained. For us in the hospital, it has really been not a surge, but a marathon. We've been going full tilt for 18 months. The honest truth is that we're exhausted mentally, physically, emotionally, said Dr. Paritosh Prasad, Director of Surgical Intensive Care in the Highly Infectious Disease Unit at Strong. On Monday, hospitals and nursing homes will face another hurdle when unvaccinated workers quit rather than get the holy jab. Sarah Klein knew her decision to not get vaccinated could cost her her job, but the letter she received Wednesday from U of R Medical Center confirmed it. It's kind of hard to see it writing, so it was a pretty sad moment, and certainly not what I thought things would come to in my career at this point, said Dr. Klein. Nursing homes have been preparing for a potential workforce shortage. Kelly Luther, head of patient family care at Strong, says finding long-term care beds is challenging. 15 of the nursing homes they refer patients to have paused admissions. We always have a number of patients that are waiting for nursing home bed offer for a variety of reasons that may be delayed, but not to the degree that we're facing today, said Luther. It's creating a situation in which we have to be more expansive about our reach for those referrals across the Western region. So, yeah, I mean, the thing of it is it should still always be your personal choice. You shouldn't have to be forced to go and get a medication. Frankly, it should be a good enough idea that you should want to go and get it. That's how good ideas work. Good ideas are rarely mandatory. But now with this, we look at this here. I do understand the idea of mandating it for healthcare, especially if it is, well, you could still get sick. Even if you already have the jab, you could still get sick. You could still transmit it. I do understand the concept behind making the healthcare workers get. I don't agree with the practice, but I understand the concept at least. I understand why. I understand why they would want to do something like this. Especially with the nursing home side of it, because this is the self-noted boomer remover. This specifically goes after the elderly with one or more comorbidity. I understand all the thought process behind it. I get. I don't like it, but I still get it. It's understandable to me. As far as this goes, though, it's they're going to go fire people. They're going to put new people in their place, and some of this might be something we might not anticipate. Let's read from the Blaze. I'm sorry, let's read from the New York Post first, and then we'll read from the Blaze, because I have my stories out of order again. From the New York Post, foreign workers could replace New York's unvaccinated hospital nursing home staffers, according to Hochul. From Bernadette Hogan and Bruce Golding. The nearly 20% of workers at hospitals and nursing homes who refuse to get vaccinated against the pinko pox will be replaced, potentially by foreigners, once the state's mandate goes into effect next week, Kathy Hochul said on Wednesday. Hochul told reporters in Rochester that she hoped that all unvaccinated employees would meet Monday's deadline. To those who won't, we'll be replacing people, and I have a plan that's going to be announced very shortly, she said. We've identified a whole range of opportunities we have to help supplement them. Hochul said state officials were working closely with various hospital systems to find out where we can get other individuals to come in and supplement places like nursing homes. We're also reaching out to the Department of State to find out about visas for foreign workers on a limited basis to bring in more nurses over here, she said. As of September 15th, 19% of New York's hospital workers remain unvaccinated, according to state health department figures. For nursing homes, the number was 18% as of Wednesday. After Monday, employers can fire unvaccinated workers who don't have a valid medical exemption for getting the shots. Employees who claim a religious exemption are also off the hook until at least October 12th due to a temporary restraining order issued by a Utica federal judge after 17 healthcare workers filed a religious freedom suit over the mandate. The plaintiffs, almost all of them Catholic, opposed the available vaccines on the grounds that they employ aborted fetus cells in their testing, development, or production. Pope Francis has also called getting vaccinated an act of love. There you go. The Pope said so, so it must be true. That's kind of interesting, though, that they would go back and grab foreign workers over this. But they're going to do what they're going to do. You thought that Cuomo was a tyrant. I guess the tyrant training was waiting in the wings behind him. Why is it always these chick governors, too, that are the tyrants? You know, Whitmer, Hochul, Newsom. These female governors who have nothing to do but try to gain more power and impose it over more people. Alright, now we'll read the one from the Blaze. Oregon health officials say it's now okay to kiss on dates, but only if both parties have been vaccinated. From Sarah Taylor. An Oregon health authority says it's okay for people to kiss on dates, but advises that it's only safe to do so if both parties have been vaccinated. In a headline-making Facebook post, the Oregon Health Authority on Wednesday announced that it had revised its safe dating practices to reflect the new position. If you're both vaccinated and taking COVID-19 precautions, intimacy is likely to be safe, the group wrote in a post. Suggestions include getting vaccinated, considering outdoor activities, and more. Meeting in person, the graphic asked, if your date has potential COVID-19 symptoms, postpone for 10 days. In a crowd outdoors or inside a public space, please wear a mask and physically distance, it adds. The organization captioned the graphic, across Oregon, college students are returning to campuses and finding that dating and relationships are different than before the pinko fucking pox. Sometimes navigating the world of dating, relationships, and sex can be confusing and awkward. Guys, I'm gonna tell you something right now. This is just between you guys and me. But I don't need the government's position, or permission rather, or their position. I don't need the government's permission to go and make out with some drunk college chick. So, Tony Evers, if you're listening and you want to try and make a mandate down on this, You can go and fuck yourself. Let's keep going. From 13 WIBW out of Topeka, Kansas. Senator Marshall leads legislation to end dishonorable discharges for soldiers that won't get the vaccine. From Sarah Motter. Senator Marshall is leading legislation that would end the honorable discharge or dishonorable discharge of soldiers that choose not to get vaccinated against COVID-19. U.S. Senator Roger Marshall says he led Senators Ted Cruz, James Lankford, and Tommy Tuberville to introduce the COVID-19 Vaccine Dishonorable Discharge Prevention Act, which would prohibit the Department of Defense from dishonorably discharging service members that choose not to get the vaccine. Marshall said the House Armed Services Committee recently passed similar language, led by Mark Green of Tennessee, an amendment to the fiscal year 2022 National Defense Authorization Act. The legislation comes after Biden mandated that millions of Americans, including service members, get vaccinated, and the DoD issuing guidance stated that the soldiers refuse to the vaccine will face administrative or non-judicial punishment under UCMJ to include relief of duties or discharge. As a physician and veteran who is confident that the vaccine has saved countless lives, I believe vaccinating service members against COVID-19 is an important effort. However, whether or not to receive the vaccine should be a personal choice between an individual and their doctor, said Senator Marshall. Service members who refuse to get vaccinated and are subsequently separated from the service should not receive anything other than an honorable discharge. There's no question about it. American heroes should not be treated as felons because of their personal medical choices. I get all this. There are some other sides to this that I think need to be pointed out as we talk about some of this stuff. One of the things to consider with this is the fact that you have signed a contract to use your body for the defense of America, the defense of this country, or more likely for the defense of our greatest ally. Somebody had to say it. And it's not the first time that the government has used experimental vaccines on people either. In fact, they use soldiers oftentimes for this. So, this is not a new practice. This is not a new practice. I would be more interested in seeing some of the language changed about the rest of the vaccines that they make people take on personal choice with that. Because the majority of these vaccines are a good idea and don't have to be mandated, but they are mandated because you'll have that one invincible 18-year-old idiot that says, I can't get no malaria, don't give me no malaria vaccine. I can't get no anthrax, don't give me no anthrax vaccine. That kind of shit like that. When you're actually going to an active combat zone where some of these things are going to be employed as a bioweapon. But there again, I don't know what the solution is to this. I actually don't. Because if we are going to send a deadly force out to another country, which for God's sakes, I wish we would stop doing that. But if we are going to send one out to another country like that, or even to do aid work, because I know the military does that as well, I don't want them to go out there and get malaria, or have that anthrax bioweapon spread through the ranks of the charity or the aid work and kill a bunch of our guys. I do want the force, if they have to be out in a combat zone, to be as deadly as possible. And if they all have to sit around and deal with the shits or whatever the hell you get from malaria, I have no idea what you get from malaria even. But if they're sitting on the can the whole time they're out there, they're not going to be effective. So I don't know what the solution is to this, other than to stop sending them into active combat zones. But the military-industrial complex will keep that going. All right. Let's keep going. From ABC 7 News. My authoritarian wife made a mandate that I can't make out with college chicks. I don't have that problem. We are better than this. Mayor Breed, SFPD, announced a new strategy against organized retail theft. From Kate Larson. When it comes to crime and rampant retail theft, Mayor London Breed said not to mistake San Francisco's kindness for weakness. "We're better than this," said Mayor Breed, who continued, "There has to be consequences because we can't continue to allow what we see as lawlessness to continue to dominate our city." Mayor Breed and San Francisco Police Chief Bill Scott spoke directly to videos that went viral over the summer. A group running off with designer handbags from Neiman Marcus in Union Square, and a man who's since been arrested shoplifting a garbage bag full of items from a Walgreens in Hayes Valley that came out to $999. "People then start fearing crime, even if they haven't been victimized," said Chief Scott. Under the new Organized Retail Theft Initiative, SFPD expanded their retail crime unit from 2 to 6 full-time investigators. The city's ambassador program will expand from 8 to 25 employees, retired SFPD officers, and extend beyond Union Square. When filing a report online, there will be an opportunity to include a suspect description. Are you saying that in a city, you need a police force? Are you saying, Mayor Breed, that you're going to refund the police? Because that's kind of what it sounds like you're saying, is that you're going to refund the police. Chief Scott says that theft is actually underreported in San Francisco, so police are also improving reporting and response efforts, which he expects to make theft data increase in the coming years. Well, yeah, that's because California has a law that says you can't get picked up for theft under $1,000. You see where the problem is there? Speaking of crime and punishment, from the BBC, and this is just breaking this morning. I caught this as I hit the go live button and I added it to the stack. George Floyd murder, Derek Chauvin appeals against conviction. This is the BBC, so there's no author given here. Derek Chauvin, who is white. Oh, I'm sorry. I always think because they put it in bold and they put it right under the picture that this is a caption. And I do this every time I read from the BBC, by the way. The former Minneapolis police officer convicted of the murder of African-American man George Floyd in 2020 says he will appeal against his conviction. Derek Chauvin, who is white, said there were issues with the jury at the trial and that it should not have taken place in Minneapolis. Chauvin was sentenced to over 22 years in jail after kneeling on Mr. Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes. His death sparked the St. George riots. According to court documents filed on Thursday, Chauvin alleges that the trial judge abused his discretion at several key points in the case, including denying a request to postpone or move the hearing from Minneapolis due to a pretrial publicity. The former officer said he has no legal representative for the appeal process, as the Minnesota Police Department's obligation to pay for my representation terminated upon my conviction and sentencing, the Associated Press News Agency reports. He asked the Supreme Court to review an earlier decision to deny him a publicly financed lawyer. Chauvin, 45, was given 90 days from the date of his sentencing on June 25th to appeal against his conviction. He was found guilty of second-degree murder and other charges and was barred from owning firearms for life and also told to register as a predatory offender. I think he needs to have the appeal done. He really does need to appeal this case, and I'm sure that there's a good lawyer out there who would come and take the case up pro bono because the guy has no income anymore because of all this bullshit. But yes, they got a BLM juror on the jury. And I'm sure that in the jury box, I would love to have these jurors on the stand at this point and say, okay, what happened in the jury box? A reminder, you are under oath. As somebody stands in there and says, hey man, you vote to convict. Otherwise, there are going to be problems with you because I've seen all your faces. This was a bullshit trial, and they're going to try to honk the same thing with the Rittenhouse trial as well. So we will see what happens with that. This story here from the Daily Mail, archived of course because it's the Daily Mail. Not only do they require you to have your ad blocker off, but if you do look at it with your ad blocker off, you're inundated with 75 million brightly colored ads, which my friend Stephen Ignoramus affectionately calls eye-aids. Mama, I don't want to die, 20-year-old daycare teacher's haunting final words to her mom before she was intubated and died of COVID. From Snezhana Farbarov for DailyMail.com. An Idaho mother says the last thing her 20-year-old daughter told her before she was intubated and placed into a medically induced coma while being treated for COVID-19 was, "Mama, I don't want to die." Samaka told the KTVB that she assured her daughter, Cleo Shepard, that she was going to survive. On Monday, the young woman suffered organ failure and died without even regaining consciousness. Shepard lived in Ontario, Oregon, and worked as a daycare teacher when she contracted the pinko pox 2 weeks ago, ultimately resulting in her hospitalization. I want to see where this is, by the way. Just out of curiosity. Let's pull that up on a map. Okay, so this is not as surprising as I thought it was at first. Because this is close to the Idaho part of it. So this is right on the state line. Idaho or Ontario, Oregon. It's right there. Like, I was thinking that this is possibly somewhere out in like Salem, Eugene area where it's super lefty, super leftwards and everything like that. But this does look like this might be in a more tempered area of Oregon. But let's read on. Shepard lived in Ontario, Oregon and worked as a daycare teacher when she contracted the pox 2 weeks ago, ultimately resulting in her hospitalization. And there she is. And we can sit back and have all kinds of conversations about the other contributing factors that fell into her falling to COVID and the comorbidities that come with that. We can have that conversation. We possibly will in just a second. Shepard was initially hospitalized in Oregon before being transferred to St. Alphonsus in Boise, Idaho. Shepard's mother said the medical staff treated her daughter well and did everything in their power to save her. She was 20 years old and full of life, Carr said while surrounding her surviving children. This should not have to happen. According to data released earlier this week, Idaho is among the worst states in the nation for the rate of new COVID cases. Well, yeah, I mean, if they're going to take everybody over from Oregon to get into there. Nearly all the new COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, and deaths have been among unvaccinated residents, Governor Bradlow's office said in a news release. In the course of her treatment, Shepard developed pneumonia, which led to kidney failure last week. They had to intubate her, and right before they intubated her, the last thing she said to me was, "Mama, I don't want to die," Carr said, and I promised her that she was going to be fine, and that that was the last conversation I ever had with her. Just after 6 p.m. on Monday, Shepard was pronounced dead from heart failure. The family have launched a GoFundMe to help pay for the 20-year-old's funeral. There's one other point to this article that I do want to bring up here, but I gotta find it. Did they take it out of the article? They did. They did take it out of the article. Oh, they edited that fucker out of there. God damn it. Because Shepard's mother... Oh, there it was. I missed over it because I thought it was a caption again. Her mother declined to reveal her daughter's vaccination status, saying she was not comfortable with discussing it. My money is on vaccinated. That's what my money is on right there, that she was vaccinated. This was a breakthrough case and it killed her. Because remember, the people who aren't vaccinated are the only ones that are dying, remember? And the ones who are vaccinated, oh, they're immune to this. They get mild symptoms only. Look, and I've been trying to do it too at this point. I went back on keto and I'm probably going to go on Noom, but to try and get down a few pounds too, because I know that this is a comorbidity to this. I know this is a thing that exacerbates all this stuff, so the rest of us should be too. I'm not saying that's the reason that she went into this, but I mean, having that much excess on her, that was not easy on the body as well. All right, from CNN. This is one thing that the leftoids want everybody to run back out and talk about and scream about. And I think is, well, I don't think there's anything to it. But the leftoids want all the news media to come back out and scream about it. Memo shows Trump's lawyer 6-step plan for Pence to overturn the election. From Jamie Gingell and Jeremy Herb. A conservative lawyer working with the then-President Trump's legal team tried to convince then-President Mike Pence that he could overturn the election results on January 6 when Congress counted the Electoral College votes by throwing out electors from 7 states, according to a new book, Peril, from Washington Post journalists Bob Woodward and Robert Costa. This goes right back onto the same thing that we talked about last week, when we made our new friend Brave Dave. Since when do we take the words of Bob Woodward at face value? I wouldn't do it when he was throwing General Milley, the woke general, under the bus, and I'm not going to do it now. But I know this was a lot of the same stupid shit that people were talking about on the MAGA camp of, if we just do this, and we just do this, and we just do this, and we just do this. What? Well, at one point, he's going to be president. Oh my God. Oh, he's going to be president again. He's going to descend on a white Pegasus, and he's going to save us all from the evils of Biden. Oh my God. And some of these MAGA people do need to be in a straitjacket. The scheme put forward by controversial lawyer John Eastman was outlined in a 2-page memo obtained by authors for Peril, which was subsequently obtained by CNN. The memo, which has not previously been made public, provides new details showing how Trump and his team tried to persuade Pence to subvert the Constitution and throw out election results on January 6th. The efforts to sway Pence was just one of several behind-the-scenes attempts that Trump's team undertook ahead of the January 6th in a desperate bid to overturn the 2020 election loss after dozens of lawsuits were not even heard by courts. Peril, which will be released on Tuesday, details how Eastman's memo was sent to GOP Senator Mike Lee of Utah and how Trump attorney Rudolph Giuliani tried to convince fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina of election fraud. Both Lee and Graham scoffed at arguments and found that they had no merit. Which, of course, we know that Joe Biden is the most popular president in history. Honk honk, nothing bad happened. Honk honk. Most secure election in history. Honk honk. Nothing bad happened. That straight vertical line, you know, that was nothing. Don't pay attention to that. But I don't really feel the need to go too far into this. This is quite a bit of bullshit from Bob Woodward. Yes, they were probably talking about this in the background. Yes, they were probably discussing their options. I don't discount that. Because in a simulation, in a video game, it looks like there might have been some funny business going on with the election. Of course, there was no funny business with it. It was the most secure election in history, but in a simulation of the identical event, it might look like there was some sort of shenanigans that went on with this. So yes, we do have to look back and see what we have, or theoretically, we would have to look back and see what we have as options to make sure that everything was done above board, even though we know that it was, and this is only in a simulation. Speaking of which, let's speak from Tulsi Gabbard for a second. From the Daily Wire, Tulsi Gabbard warns about story boiling beneath the news cycle, a threat to our country and our democracy. Is there a video of this? Yeah, I don't know if I want to watch it though. It's 7 minutes. We're not going to watch the whole thing. We'll go over the highlight reel. This is from Daily Wire News. Former Rep. Tulsi Gabbard of Hawaii warned during a Fox News interview with anchor Bret Baier that powerful elites in the U.S. who go out of their way to destroy anyone that's a threat to them represent a threat to our country and our democracy. Of course, this is Russian disinformation because it comes from Tulsi Gabbard. Just ask the Clintons. Gabbard made the remarks towards the tail end of an interview in which she called the situation on the southern border an utter disaster and failure, while pitting the blame directly on the Biden-Harris administration's open border policy. Gabbard warned, "We have no idea who is coming across the border." Speaking on Afghanistan, Gabbard said that the way that this administration executed the withdrawal has been an utter and abject disaster, which is continuing to play out as we speak. Baier later brought up the latest news from John Durham's criminal investigation into the origins of the Russia probe after there was an indictment of a Hillary Clinton attorney, Michael Sussman, who Baier said was basically infusing the Russia narrative with the help of various media outlets and others. By the way, this Dunkin' Donuts maple coffee is fucking delicious. Just so you know. In case you see it in the store and you want to say, I wonder if that's good. Fact check, it is good. Your thoughts on, as we're starting to get this Durham investigation, and what that means, Bayer asked. Confirms what I've known to be true, which is that you have powerful elite people like Hillary Clinton, those around her working with the media, the deep state, in order to bring down the destruction and downfall of anyone that they deem a threat to their power. Gabbard said, outsiders like me, people like Donald Trump, doesn't matter, Democrat or Republican, if they identify, hey, this is someone who's not going to toe the line, this is someone who's not going to follow kind of the establishment way of things that are accepted. They pose a threat, and they will do all they can to silence or censor or cancel what they view to be a threat. And so this is bigger than about me or Trump or anyone else. She concluded, this is actually a threat to our country and our democracy. The arrogance that these people have in thinking that they have the right to manipulate the American people, what they view, what they hear, what they see, all to preserve their own selfish interest, not caring about all the impact on the country, the impact of the American people, or who gets hurt along the way. Deep. Deep stuff. Thank you, Tulsi Gabbard, for that. And of course, she got labeled almost immediately as Russian disinformation for standing up against the line. All right, from KOLD 13, this is for my friend Saint. Haitian refugees to be housed in Tucson. Tucson. It's Tucson, Saint. I know you're listening to this back after the fact, but it's Tucson. KOLD has confirmed a portion of the Haitian immigrants camped at the Texas border are being housed at hotels in the Tucson area. The migrants in Tucson will be housed at hotels across the city, as well as at Casa Alita's Welcome Center. Officials say the migrants will stay in town for a few days after processing until more permanent housing can be found. Haitians have been released on a very large scale in recent days, according to one U.S. official with direct knowledge of operations. This undercuts the Biden admin's public statements that the thousands of migrants at the border would face immediate expulsion. When asked to comment on the release in the United States, Homeland Security said Wednesday that migrants who are not immediately expelled to Haiti may be detained or released with a notice to appear in immigration court or report to an immigration office depending on available custody space. The department declined to say how many have been released. So you have the Mexican gangs that are in Tucson, and that's not me trying to make a stereotype, that is coming from a Tucson resident. And now you're going to throw Afghan refugees into the area, and now Haitian refugees into the area. I don't want to be in Tucson. Ever. Alright, speaking of which, from the Associated Press, U.S. Special Envoy to Haiti resigns over migrant expulsions. From Josh Goodman, Matt Lee, and Danica Cotto, and Elias Spagat. I can just see my YouTube channel get shut down over saying that last name like that. The Biden admin special envoy to Haiti resigned in protest of inhumane large-scale expulsions of Haitian immigrants to their homeland as it is racked with civil strife and disaster, U.S. officials said on Thursday. Daniel Foote was appointed to the position in July following the assassination of Haiti's president, Jovenel Moïse. Even before the migrant expulsion from the small Texas border town of Del Rio, the career diplomat was known to be deeply frustrated with what he considers a lack of urgency in Washington and a glacial pace on efforts to improve conditions in Haiti. Foote wrote Secretary of State Anthony Blinken that he was stepping down immediately with deep disappointment and apologies to those seeking crucial changes. I will not be associated with the United States' inhumane, counterproductive decision to deport thousands of Haitian refugees and illegal immigrants to Haiti, a country where American officials are confined to secure compounds because of the danger posed by armed gangs to daily life, he wrote. Well, with a name like Daniel Foote, I doubt that you look like them too, so there's that. I've never seen the guy, so he might look like them, but I doubt it. Our policy approach to Haiti remains deeply flawed, and my policy recommendations have been ignored and dismissed, when not edited to project a narrative different from my own. The State Department criticized Foote for resigning at a critical juncture and pushed back against a suggestion that his policy prescriptions were overlooked. This is a challenging moment that requires leadership, spokesman Ned Price said in a written statement. It is unfortunate that instead of participating in a solutions-oriented policy process, Special Envoy Foote has both resigned and mischaracterized the circumstances of his resignation. He added that the role of the president's advisors to provide him with the best possible advice. No ideas are ignored, but not all ideas are good ideas, Price said. So, yeah, I mean, they're doing so badly in Washington that even he is resigning. Alright, you know what? We're going to continue to skip the Gabby Petito stuff. I'm going to do a couple human interest things in a couple videos because I had to see them, you had to see them. Twitter enables tipping with Bitcoin, plans to let users authenticate NFTs. Which means Twitter wants to get their hands on a bunch of sweet, sweet Bitcoin from people who are too stupid to know that they're going to be paying fees to Twitter in large amounts that they can turn around and reinvest and make billions off of. From Alex Health. Twitter is turning on the ability to ask for tips in a Bitcoin through its app, making it the first major social network to encourage the use of cryptocurrency as a method of payment. The company also plans to let users connect their crypto wallets and authenticate the ownership of NFTs they tweet with a special badge. Twitter has been test tipping for a few months now, but the company hasn't made tips widely available until Thursday. With the features rolling out globally on iOS with Android to follow, besides Bitcoin, Twitter's will let users connect non-traditional payment providers, including Venmo and Cash App, to their profiles to accept tips. Twitter isn't processing the payments itself. E-Thottery lives! That's gonna be who walks away from this, the E-Thoughts. Dude, don't tip me through Twitter. If you like a tweet that I have, don't tip me through Twitter. Come onto my show, hit the Buy Me a Coffee link. The link's below. There's the PayPal if you want to throw me a tip. We can do Venmo if you want to do Venmo. We can do Cash App if you want to do that. We've got the Subscribe Star. Hit those options. Don't use Twitter. Fuck Twitter. He says, about to use tweets for video. From Variety, Super Mario Bros. Movie lands all-star voice cast. Chris Pratt, Anya Taylor-Joy, Keegan-Michael Kay, and Seth Rogen. Thanks, I hate it. From Matt Donnelly. Talk about a level up. Oh, Jesus Christ. They don't even level up in Mario Brothers. It's not, well, there's Super Mario RPG, but the new animated feature based on the world of Super Mario Bros. Has bagged an A-list voice cast. Chris Pratt and Charlie Day have been tapped to play the titular video game siblings, Mario and Luigi, respectively, two Italian plumbers plunged into a world of foes and fantasy in the beloved Nintendo game series. Anya Taylor-Joy, who I don't know who that is, will play Princess Peach, the royal blonde who has inspired millions of Halloween costumes and rap lyrics, often found in the clutches of supervillain Bowser, who will be voiced by actor Jack Black. Jesus. Rounding out the cast are Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong, Keegan-Michael Key as Toad, who does a mean cover of Sia's Chandelier, Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong, Kevin Michael Richardson as Kamek, and Sebastian Maniscalco as Spike. I only know who like half of these people are. Chris Meledandri's top-grossing Illumination label is making the film, which will roll out in theaters December 21st of next year. Via Universal Pictures, Nintendo and Universal are co-financing the project. Thanks, I hate it. Thanks, I hate it. You've just given me 5 reasons to not go watch this movie that I was actually very much anticipating. I wanted to go see this movie, and I don't watch movies. Now I don't. I might still, because I actually do like the franchise a lot, but you're making it really hard on me. Let's watch some videos. Where would a week of contemporary be without libs of TikTok? Where would it be without libs of TikTok? Let's do some libs of TikTok.
What did I do wrong?
You have a better.
You're offensive. Police lives matter?
You have the same sticker.
We're just trying to do school.
What?
You guys have the same sticker of the other.
But this is our space.
We've got a Police Lives Matter sticker and we're getting kicked out. Can't do school. You just said we have to leave.
No, I said... You're making the space uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable.
But you're white. Do you understand what a multicultural space? It means you're not being centered.
White's not a culture?
No. No, it's not a culture. White is not a culture. Say it again to the camera. You think whiteness is a culture?
This is insane.
So anyways, this is the violence that ASU does, and this is the type of people that they protect. Okay? This white man thinks he can take up our space, and this is why we need a multicultural space. Because they think they can get away with this shit.
I'm gonna sit here the whole time and you can find somebody to kick me out.
That's cool. We will.
We're not kicking you out. We're asking you to leave if you have any consideration for people of color and our marginalized
So
issues.
clearly don't. Yeah, the whole rest of the campus, the second floor, the first floor, the whole MU, every single part of the campus centers you. This is the only space that you're not centered, and you're still trying to center yourself, which is peak white cis male bullshit.
You're not.
You are racist. Your sticker is racist because police, that's a job. You can choose to be a police. I don't choose to be black. Okay? No, you can choose to be a cop. You can choose to kill people with a badge, and you're protecting that shit, which means that you're racist.
I'm sorry. I wasn't trying to defend you guys.
I know, but this offends us automatically because these people kill people like me and like us, right? So you're promoting our murderers. So please just don't do that.
Thank you.
So why should that bother you?
Because, do you understand that Police Lives Matter was in response to Black Lives Matter?
I pay the same fucking tuition as you.
Yep.
Hold on, but
yeah, that's fine, and you have everywhere.
I'm working 60 hours a week while going to school because my parents don't just give me money.
But
it doesn't matter.
Okay, it doesn't matter.
And there he went and got triggered off top of this here, but geez, and I do remember a time when there were these little racial things, but they were fun when I was in college. I got named Honorary Black one night because the group of people that I was walking around with was trying to single out the single white girl in the group. And they noticed that I myself am very, very pale. So one girl looked over and says, "See, you black, you black, you black, you honorary black. You're the only white person in here." It was fun at the time. And now it's just mean. I had not seen that before. I watched this for the first time with most of you. This is insanity. All right, one more, and then we'll do live chat. This is another one of those where I saw this, so you guys have to see it too. PETA, can't put a finger on what's not working in the bedroom. And I'll see if there's voice or if I have to narrate this. Want to spice things up in the bedroom? Chili peppers will have you hot and heavy in no time. And a squirt of OJ can increase blood flow to important organs. Get a load of zinc to increase your libido. Avocados will give you the stamina to keep going for hours. Go vegan, your partner will thank you. From PETA. I saw the people fingering fruits and vegetables, and you guys had to see it too. There was no other reason for me putting that on there, other than I saw it and you had to see it too. Enjoy, because you're not going to be able to get that image out of your mind. Or at least I can't. Alright, let's do live chat. Let's do this, because you guys have been really active throughout the day here. So let's crank her up to the top and see where we're going. I know I already got the 100 message coming in here, but let's look at the week before. On Monday, we had Quest Fanning, thank you, Arvolt, Katie Zed, Random Randy, Shilaga 1984, Ron Helton, and MK Ultra. Thank you all. On Tuesday, we had Random Randy, Ron Helton, Highleaf, my friend Seawall's son, Arvolt, Sully Blue was in here briefly. I haven't seen him other than a couple days every once in a while, but I do hope that he's driving safe. I do hope that he's got everything going well. I hope he didn't get in an accident or anything. I would be sad if we had no more Sully Blue. That would make me sad. 80s Kid was here. Chilaga 1984. Mazumi. MK Ultra. KZ. Wednesday we had Random Randy. Highleaf. 80s Kid. Quest Fanning. Ron Helton. Arvolt. Harvey McLeod. And Chilaga 1984. Which, by the way, I didn't turn my music back on. Yesterday, we had Quest Fanning, Ron Helton, 80s Kid. Our friend Brave Dave stopped by for a little bit yesterday and demanded that I stop what I was doing and go talk to him instead. Chilaga 1984, Random Randy, Darth Totes, MK Ultra, Ben Wild, Katie Zed. By the way, I mean, with the Randy situation, you guys have been handling him pretty awesomely, and I think that's cool. But with that, I do want to say that, I mean, everyone's welcome here, but, I mean, for the people, and this is not just because you guys are pretty cool about it, you know what this show is. This is headlines and read the news. But I would challenge some of these people who are like, he doesn't even interact with the chat, how fucking stupid is this? Well, go over to, like, the Daily Wire stream, and go demand that the anchor interact with the chat for that. Go over to CNN if you would rather listen to something within your echo chamber, and go demand that the anchor interact with the chat. They're not going to do it. I designed the show to be in a quick manner. In fact, we'll be running a little bit late today, but in a quick manner so we can get done, get with the headlines, and go off to work, school, whatever it is we need to do. I can't do a 3-hour show in the morning because I have to go to my other job. My best friend works from home and he can do a 3-hour show, and he has that option for you guys. If you would rather, go over and check out that 3-hour show. It's a good show. I like that show very much. It doesn't work in my schedule. I would love to sit down and do 3 hours of chat with you guys all day. I would love to do that instead of going and lifting a bunch of heavy shit all day. I would love to do that instead, but, you know, we've all got to work in the confines of what we have. So, there's that. And you know what I'm going to do, shameless plug, while we're doing this, while we're doing the live chat here? I'm going to put my website in the background. Haha! TurnSomePagesProductions.com. Go check it out. TSP-prod.com also redirects you to there. Turn some pages. Ron Helton coming in strong over on the Trovo for the last Trovo stream that we have. Thank you, Trovo, for not banning me for now, but, you know, with how you treated other creators in my same influence sphere, go and fuck yourself. Chilaga 1984 says, Happy Friday. Ron Helton says, Idiocracy is here, folks. Arizona recount was just a recount of the bogus ballots with no names attached to them. None of this will fix anything as long as they're stuffed ballot boxes. Yeah, I saw a little bit of that before the news, and I kind of figured that this was going to go out and be... And that's not really, as far as I knew, what Cyber Ninjas was doing. They were trying to go and figure out where the ballots came from and what that meant. But as far as the recount goes, I don't know enough about that story. But yeah, I mean, if they do recount the same ballots, then you're going to see the same shenanigans. Luke Wee is here. Morning all. Glad I get to listen live. Well, thank you, Luke. Welcome. Come on in. Grab a seat. Grab some coffee. I have some. It's cold by this point, but it's got butter in it too, because apparently that helps you with your keto diet. It actually kind of tastes really good too. But, I mean, if you're not on a low-carb diet, I don't recommend it because you're adding fats into your system that you don't need. But if you go low-carb, I recommend trying it. It's really good. Is there a list of all the other shows somewhere? The other shows are the Daily Ignoramus, The Breakdown with Birkenhoff, the R-Rated Conservative, The Freckles and Brick Show, and The Porch Boys, which they will all be featured on this website that is behind us right now, as soon as we get this up and built, and there will be details to come on that later. Maybe just move the show off the censorship monkey platforms. They all censor: Twitch, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc. What's left? Rumble, Odyssey? Yeah, I gotta figure out. Rumble I know I have to pay for, but I'm gonna see what the pricing is for that. And then I have to figure out how to make a custom RTMP because according to Restream, I've used up all my options at this point. So, because I was going to go to Odyssey with a custom RTMP, but I think it's because I have Elaine's Facebook on there, even though we're not using it because she's on hiatus. I don't think I can make another custom RTMP to go with that, but I'll look into that. Never been able to connect the chats anyhow on Trovo. No, there's that too. The only advantage I've seen is there's a lot less lag and resource hogging on the Trovo platform. Randy Crush Saga is here. Quest Banning is here. Looks like I can't say good morning on Twitch. Interesting. Dell had a better build quality when I used them years ago. Not sure how good they are now. Should ask one of the guys I know who still buys them for his business. Shilaga says, Dave is so brave. We got the good mornings here. Brooklyn Deli, America. I was proud of that one. Oh, Ron's got to be in here with the actually. Ron, come on. You knew the point I was going with that. I do appreciate where you went with that and the accuracy, but there was something I was trying to get around saying. More shekels to Israel will make you cry, bitch. Thank you, David. How long until naming them is mainstreamed? I don't know. We are now in apartheid state thanks to the demonization of the unvaccinated. Looks like Quest Banning has moved over to Twitch. It's working now. Ron, they are our greatest ally. That's the shout out, by the way, for the playlist I've been listening to. It's way back up in the chat, but I will post it again before the end of the show. Yeah, I mean, if you guys like it and they don't pop me for it, we'll use it again. I have no problem with that. I like this, I like this playlist. I actually want to switch up the playlist every once in a while again, too, because, you know, maybe do one day a week, another day of the week. Because, you know, we listen to the same playlist every day and, you know, we get the same songs every day. Change it up a little bit. Life to the Max is here. Good morning, just lurking. But is the background music a video game music playlist? Yeah, I used Game Chops. Let's actually pull that up on the screen too for you guys. Video Game Study Lounge over on YouTube is what I'm going with. And it is from Game Chops. And I'll point it out here. The rules are, there's a Spotify link for it too, so you can get, or the YouTube playlist. You can get both of them and get the stuff on demand. Use policy. This stream is safe to use as background music for live streams. Please link back or shout out Game Chops. So there again, we're doing that again. Linking back and shouting out. And go check them out. I mean, it's really cool. Let's see. Let's get back to turn some pages. That I'm not going to read. Ron. Katie Z is here. Yeah, Family Guy sucks now. I haven't watched in years. Okay, Seth MacFarlane, now do natural immunity. Brought to you by Big Pharma, just like everything else. Chilaga's on fire today. 80s kid, mild? Yeah, right. Zed Fam, is Mr. Zed here too? I joined for that? Might be wrong? Yes. You must wear Depends in case I crap myself. Chilaga says, J. Edgar sounds like my wife regarding medicine, even for headaches. Your wife sounds based. I hope I get to meet her someday. Maybe she'll have a friend. I had Silent and Ritalin and Concerta from about 8 to 20. I don't know. I only know what one of those three things are. I've heard of Concerta before, but I don't know what it is. AOC was crying. Someone would have gathered up some of them and sold them to eBay for charity or something like that. AOC would have something positive in her life. No, I think Ben Shapiro just stood under her with the cup. Okay, gang, I got your delicious, salty leftist tears. I'm going to gather them here. Small testicles, a lot of range, but no coofing. Might be wrong, took a steroid for his coof. Only Shapiro fans would be AOC tears. Or would buy AOC tears. Darth Toad says, hell no, Trump would outbid for that shit and keep it on his desk. I bet you he would take it everywhere with him. In every presidential meeting, every rally. LOL, funniest prop ever. Little Petey says, interesting that the Unselect Committee of Political Hacks dropped their subpoena request the night before Arizona is expected to announce its findings from the forensic audit on voter fraud in the 2020 presidential election, which didn't happen. Most secure election in history, honk honk. That's what they do. This is why they're good at it. But everyone will be watching Arizona tomorrow to see what the highly respected auditors in Arizona State Senate found out regarding the so-called election. That nothing bad happened to honk honk. Most secure election in history, honk. Welcome, Little Petey. If this was a true pandemic, they wouldn't let nurses walk off the job. Federalize the nurses, no. So they can be more wrong than they usually are. Can we call the people, talk to the manager? We need to see the we need to see all the supervisors. Eric Bowman says, why is Hochul anti-nurse? This will put downward pressure on all their wages. Yes. MK Ultra says right there, easier to push chicks around. Hen's gonna peck. Darth Toad says, Oregon is silly. They let Antifa party outside of ICE facility every night, and they're doing a lot more than just kissing. Chalaga says, yeah, they're vaccinating themselves. I've seen it under bridges too. Yeah, they are. But the fire kills COVID. Hey girl, you want my COVID juice? Might be wrong, says my authoritarian wife made a mandate that I can't make out with college chicks. I don't have one of those. Eric, that is a good option, but I'm not going to read that out loud. Yeah, he'll get out most likely because they didn't change the venue and multiple jurors have already admitted that they convicted him on the grounds of fear, or at least some of the alternates did, but yeah, I think he will have a strong case to overturn the murder conviction. Yeah, I could see that. If jury nullification is okay, what if a jury decides to convict an innocent man? I don't know. Edgar's urban voice. Please stop reading the obituary. Do you think you can get out of jury duty if you haven't gotten the COVID coof shot? My daughter asked me what pinko pox was this morning. Like those crappy hair extensions. Democracy was behind Socrates being forced to kill himself. Choose drinking the hemlock as his method. They're awful and probably responsible for not getting nookie regularly, and therefore overeating, gaining weight, and heart disease. Harvey McLeod says, I feel like she had health issues beforehand. Yeah, that's the thing. And I'm going to be completely honest, and I like a nice full-figured girl, and sometimes that overlaps with the big ones, but I don't come out and pretend that it's healthy to stay at that size either. I'm not, and we talked about this a bit in the Discord yesterday as well. I'm not like some of the simps out there. They're like, oh, you don't go on a diet, baby. You're beautiful the way you are, and I don't ever want you to change. No, if you need to feel at peace with yourself by going on a massive diet, then do that. I'm not going to be that kind of person that tells you don't do it. They get mild symptoms. Only then, why are hospitals prioritizing them over the unvaxxed? Why would they be at the hospital in the first place? Harbolt says, fat is fabulous, don't you know? Stop body shaming. No one's talking about Tawny Katane that died within a week of getting the vax. That is very safe, and everybody should be taking the vax. Honk honk. Everybody should be. Nobody should go without the vaccine. Everybody should be going. Honk honk. Eric Bowman says, intubation is what actually kills you. How about the news report on Hunter Biden's emails? We did that yesterday. And that'll be on the Red Net Show for tomorrow, which I might be doing alone, by the way, because the few people I've reached out to have either not got back to me or have had prior commitments. The lies of Woodward make me wonder if anything we know about Nixon was true. I question it. Ben Wild says, if the chick with bad hair extensions would have done crack with Hunter Biden and put her mouth on the crack pipe, she would still be dead, but would have been suicided by Hillary. Bernstein was an honest guy, though, right? Are those bad hair extensions? I don't know. I don't know enough about hair extensions, I guess. Let's see. What else are you guys doing? What else are you guys going to get me in trouble on YouTube for today? A Twitter space I was in last night discussed the Arizona audit, and folks were saying there are leaks, ground softening perhaps, that the audit still says Biden won the state. Yeah, they're already talking about that. I want to see the documents. Show me the documents! Bernstein was honest and smart. He'd never get hired by WAPO today. Burn. Oh, they like my Tulsi voice. My Tulsi voice. I will go in front and I will save the country. And I will remind the world of how it is that Kamala Harris was locking up so many people and being so hard on our criminals just to get cheap labor for California. Yeah, they're just going to show up back at the 4 house. What happened to Liz Warren? She went back to her tribe. No, the Liz Warren voice is a little bit throaty, and I don't know what it is, but husband person, would you like a beer? So are Haitians just the direct descendants of Jesus? Like, did they walk on water to get here? Also, how the fuck did they get to our border? They they did take, I think, a plane into Mexico and then took a bus up to the border. I haven't seen John in the mornings much lately. Yeah, that is unfortunate. Just, wouldn't Cash App be the same as using Twitter? I don't know, because I don't know enough about Cash App because I don't have it. But I would get it if you guys wanted it. If you guys wanted to use it to send me money, I like it when you guys send me money. So if you guys wanted to use it to send me money, I would get the Cash App. I like money. I'm a good capitalist. But everything that we're going to be doing, everything for donations right now, if you send me a Buy Me a Coffee, if you send me a PayPal or anything else like that, is going to be going directly into the website that's behind the live chat. Because we want to build you guys the best website possible. Yes, that is what Seth Rogen looks like now. Are they going to get in trouble for the Italian accents? No, Italians are white passing. Oh, gross. Did you see that guy's balls? Multicultural meant 0 white. But she does choose to be a bitch, yeah. Like, she does know that there are things called black police officers. I've been pulled over by one of those men. Really nice people. Arvold says, I stepped away for a minute and came back to the PETA ad. Thought I was at Steven's channel. AIDS. Chillaga says, stay strong with regards to the format. Don't answer the Twitch trolls. There are a few people I've not been seeing. If I saw those guys, I'd time out them. Interacting with the chat has to be really difficult, I'd imagine. I like to do it. It's just because I've got to try and keep this I have to try and keep the show to where it gets over before 9:30. Whoops. Butter makes everything better, says Luke. Yeah, better with butter. Manaquila in Spanish, or Aquila. The correction by Ron made me laugh too. MK Ultra says, I've got like 5 of those leftist tier tumblers. Why? Newman Leary says, I think the best way to stop COVID is if China pays for a month-long lockdown. I've seen your name in here before, Newman Leary, but welcome back. Thank you. They would work if the whole country is under it. Yeah, that sounds awfully tyrannical. If the whole country, if my aunt had a dick, she'd be my uncle. Those hair extensions are a direct violation of the Geneva Convention standards on torture. Tell people to eat well, get rest, and lose weight. Yeah, I'm working on it. It's there, I know. I'm working on it. Newman's been locked in his house since March of 2020. The rest of us are living life and having a blast. Yeah, I went up up the side of a fucking mountain last weekend. Arvolta says, okay, gotta run. See some of you over at Stephen Ignoramus, where I'll be lurking while working. Oops, I meant to tag Stephen Ignoramus. Yep. And that's it. We're out of here. We're done. So let's change up the track. Let's change up the scene. Let's change up the track, and let's go. Yeah, I like that that playlist, by the way. If you guys liked it, we'll put that on the rotation for somewhere here. But for now, we got to, speaking of Stephen Ignoramus, get to the outro. Jesus Christ, that's loud. And let's get out of here for the day. All right, so I want to thank everybody who came by, chatted in the live chat today and through the week. You guys absolutely rock. We are going to head out of here for the day and for the weekend. Chilaga, reach out to me because I might be going down to Rock Cut this weekend. And if you want to join, reach out to me either on Twitter or on the Discord and we'll work out the details for that. But that'll be on Sunday. So if you want to do that. Otherwise, if you guys... if you want to continue the conversation, hit the Discord. Find me on Twitter, that is at EdsBlog Twitter with a 1 in place of the I. You can continue the conversation there. We can go have a bit more fun with that and talk more about the news. Otherwise, we'll be back here for sure on Monday for Contemporary and the Rednet Show. Daily show and weekly roundup, so looking forward to that. Otherwise, maybe we'll do some video games on Saturday. Maybe I'll just do an Ed Talk and just let you guys have the floor for a little while too. Watch the Discord and the Twitter for details, but I'd love to have you guys all in here. That would be if we do it at 5:30 Central. And yeah, just let you guys have the floor for an hour. Your live chat, maybe we'll do some calls, maybe we'll do some stuff like that too, but definitely looking forward to that as well. Otherwise, we will see you next time. Until then, I am Jay Edgar, and this is Contemporary. Take care.